The light's fine. You look amazing as always, Ksenia. We are live right
Thank you.
now with the top Russian wrestling YouTuber, Ksenia, who is now relocated, at least temporarily, to Florida, which we're going to get more information on. She has the YouTube channel. Ksenia did that. And she's doing a lot of traveling lately, and I've been following her journey, which is very impressive. You've now actually moved into an apartment in Florida. Maybe you could start by telling us what made you move to Florida.
Basically, wrestling made me move to Florida, obviously, because there's so much wrestling so tightly packed in Florida, in Jacksonville, in Orlando, in Tampa, wherever. So I just want to be closer to what I love and to what I do. I guess you could say for a living. It's part of it. So I've been wanting to make wrestling like the main thing that I do for a while now, and this is just another step in the right direction.
Yeah, you're definitely in the hotbed for wrestling, and you have grown a lot in followers since coming to Florida, which is very impressive. And you've even been on AEW TV numerous times now.
Very much so, yeah. Getting my TV time in. And honestly, it's helped a lot actually with exposure. And I'm not one of those people who like, and nothing wrong with that, but I'm still not one of those people who go to wrestling shows to get exposure. Um, I know like some people have been messaging me like, oh, like you're always on hard cam, like well, what's the thing, what's the deal with that? But to me, honestly, when I try and look for seats at wrestling show, I usually go for something that would have me the closest to the action. I don't really care for the cameras that much, but it just coincides usually that the closer you are to the action, the more you are on TV. And actually, at AW Road Rager, it was my first time being front row in like 9 years maybe, because it is hard to get front row tickets, and I enjoyed it immensely. And like I don't mind people saying that I'm trying to like get exposure or whatever, which aren't we all? But that wasn't the reason that I was there. I actually love wrestling people. Newsflash.
Yeah, you might be AEW's biggest fan at this point, actually having moved from Russia to Florida so you could attend the events. How many events have you attended just from AEW? Because I know you've been to NXT now as well.
Yeah. I think I attended starting the end of May and up until now. I attended every single Dynamite that had crowds because they did tape one or two without the crowd. But all the other ones I did attend, I can't even count right now. Like how many is that? Many. That's many. That's just a whole month and a half of AEW TV. That's what I attended.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I assume you buy tickets to all of these, or are you close enough with some of the wrestlers in AEW now where they can hook you up with tickets?
Yeah, no, I buy tickets. And the thing is, I think I've even talked about it in another interview that, like, even when I am close with wrestlers and when I know I can get a pass, I usually tend to just buy tickets because, first of all, I want to support the thing that I love. And it's not like I can't afford it. So I just buy tickets. And also, way I have like more control over where I'm actually seated. And also when I get accredited, I still sometimes prefer to pick my own seats because I just, as I said, I like to be really close to the thing. And all the like friends and family seats and media seats are usually way further than that from the ring. And I'm a mark, so I want to be closer to the ring.
Well, everyone in the wrestling business is a mark because
Yes,
that's what makes them want to be
very
in the
much so.
business. Unless you're a big superstar in another domain that's just making millions just to get paid to wrestle, you'd have to be in the business because you're a super mark that loves it enough to be involved in it. That's my view on it. Do you plan on training at all
I
anymore
agree
to be a pro
completely.
wrestler? Sorry, there's a bit of a delay because of the
No,
line.
why do people keep asking me that?
To train to be a wrestler?
Yeah, sorry about that. Why do people keep asking me about the training thing? No. Why, why would they do that? I'm much into like the media thing when it comes to wrestling, so I don't see it necessary because like there are so many great wrestlers in the world. There are so many great wrestlers on the indies. So like, why would they go and train just because to take someone's spot or like to I don't know to do whatever? Because like I've never really been interested in like the wrestling aspect of it for me personally. Um, I'm a journalist. I love what I do. I love interviewing people. I love making content. So why would they train to wrestle? I want to.
Well, because your fans want to see you in the wrestling business as a manager or a wrestler. So I think the more popular you get, the more you're going to get that question, whether you like it or not. You have the look.
I mean, I am very open to working as a manager, and I do have the gimmick and the whole shebang, but not wrestling. Wrestling like that's the one part of the on-screen realm that I am open to and that I can be in, but I am not a wrestler. I don't think I ever will be.
I know you're a big fan of Tyler Breeze, who was recently released by WWE. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? And I believe he has a school in Florida. Is there any chance you're going to actually visit that school and perhaps make a video from there while you're in town?
I might. Honestly, I've been trying to reach out to a lot of wrestlers based in Jacksonville, in Orlando. So while I'm here, I want to get all the content. So, but as far as I'm concerned with the non-compete thing, I'm not sure he can do things just yet because I have reached out to Lana and she cannot really do interviews right now, or at least she doesn't feel comfortable doing that yet, I think. Um, so yeah, I might actually do that. I might reach out, and it is still like it's your like automatic response when a favorite gets released. You're like sad. You're like, oh my god, like they had so many. Um, it was they had so many like chances which the company didn't give them, and not to like trash WWE or anything because I know the roster is big and like writing is very hard. Like booking is probably the hardest thing to do in wrestling, so no hard feelings there for sure. But still, I feel like in NXT, Breezango were like such a great duo to have, and they really diversified the roster, so I'm really not sure like why they had to be released. But I hope, first of all, I hope they are happy wherever they go next, and second of all, I kind of hope that they stay together as a tag team because they are like my top three favorite tag teams, so I would love to see them together again.
Now, as far as Lana's release, which I guess is surprising in some ways, but with Miro and AEW, it's not really that surprising. But David is wondering your thoughts on her being fired from WWE, which I think it was more of a release than firing.
Yeah, I think it is a little surprising, honestly, because to me, she feels like very much the WWE format. And especially considering that they made a documentary on her very recently and they gave her some kind of significant wins. She won like the Women's Battle Royal and all that. It was kind of surprising. But also, for the longest time, as a fan watching her in WWE, it did kind of feel like it was unfulfilling to her, which if that is the case, I hope I hope she's happier where. But also, contrary to popular opinion, I do not really think she's going to go to AEW because I don't think just the way that she presents herself and the way that she wrestles to like her in ring style is not very AEW. Of course, they could like train her because we've seen uh, Tay Conti get very much repackaged and very much fit the format of AEW, which is great job on Dustin Rhodes' part, I guess. But I really don't think Lana is going to AEW at least now because I think she's very much um, a multifaceted performer and personality. I know she does modeling. I know she does like all kinds of like fashion things. She vlogs. So I think for now she might actually stay more in that realm, like as an internet personality. But I know that she also loves wrestling very much, which many people kind of overlook about her. But she's in love with that industry. So I think she might do like some appearances here and there. But we'll see what happens. I will be happy to see her in AEW, but I just don't think it's gonna happen yet.
Yeah, I believe it came out last year around the time where WWE was cracking down on wrestlers' social media accounts that she made something like over 600,000 a year off of Instagram posts. So she's not going to be hurting for money if she still has that to fall back on.
Yeah, and then people started speculating that all of WWE's social media policies are like her fault, which is, crazy because like she's just making her living. She's just doing like what brings her money, and it's just even if it did trigger the thing, it's still not her fault.
I don't know how much pizza you ate in Russia, but David wants to know if you like pizza, and maybe you could follow that up with telling us what your favorite toppings are on a pizza.
I think everyone loves pizza. I've never met a person who did not like pizza. I also like the like Italian style pizza way better than I do the American. And I also had like a kind of funny story because a while ago I bought this Black Craft Wrestling shirt that says "Where Black Eat Pizza," and I took a picture with like a bunch of pizza that we were having with my friend, and it was Italian pizza. It was obviously thin crust, like very traditional Italian, the way we love it, and Blackcraft reposted it, and I got like a bunch of like pizza related hate comments because Americans were saying that, oh, like this is such a sad flat pizza. Like, no, your pizza is sad. Why does your pizza look like freaking loaf of bread? It's not what it's supposed to look like. As for the toppings, I'm not sure. I'm open to a lot of things. I'll try anything.
I have noticed through your social media posts that you've been trying a lot of the classic American fast food places. Could you give us a rundown of maybe some of your favorite and least favorite American fast food places? Uh-oh, you froze for a second.
Sure. I'm actually making a video about it. It's gonna be on my channel pretty soon. I don't know when to stop because like I've been doing this video for like a while. I went to like 7 different places at this point, and I'm like, where do I actually wrap up the video and just start living the life? So I guess I'll just stop with the video and I'll just release it soon. And also, someone commented about the taco festival that's going to be tomorrow in Jacksonville. I am going to be there. I'm going to be with Mission Pro Wrestling. So if you're in Jacksonville, come say hi. But yeah, I've been trying a lot of new places, and honestly, it's a little embarrassing to admit, but I also talked about it on Samira's interview too, that I did like maybe 2 weeks ago. I am obsessed with Cheesecake Factory. Like they just they just won me over. This is like the one place that they keep coming back to because like just the menu is so huge and everything they've tried at least is really good. So I just keep coming back there. I think I could eat there like every day. The worst ones, I'm not sure because I think I kind of liked everything that I tried. I think Olive Garden was overwhelming. Was underwhelming. My expectations weren't as high, but I had high expectations for the breadsticks, which were great indeed, and also I had high expectations for the chicken parm because part of the reason why I wanted to try Olive Garden, which is very weird and strange, but still, is because there was a segment on Tonight Show, which I'm a fan of, where Post Malone, who I'm a fan of, took Jimmy Fallon to Olive Garden. And apparently, Post Malone's go to order is a chicken parm. And he was very enthusiastic about it. So I was like, oh my God, I need to try this. And it was so underwhelming. Like, I can't say it was horrible, but it was not good. So just had to settle for the impression that the breadsticks set for me for Olive Garden. But I don't think I'm coming back to Olive Garden anytime soon.
Yeah, I guess the best thing about Olive Garden is the free breadsticks and salad for the people that are big eaters, but I don't imagine that you're like a power eater that eats huge amounts of food. Jimmy Jam TV would like to know if you were to be a manager, who would you manage off of the current rosters that are on TV? Is there a particular?
And by the way, talking about big eaters, another thing about America, and
Sorry, we lost you for a second.
you were freezing during the last question. I did not catch that whatsoever. Sorry.
Okay. Well, you froze up when you were talking about big eaters. So maybe finish that.
Yeah. Yes. So another thing that like really surprised me about America, which I guess if you think about it, it's not as surprising, but like the portions in all restaurants are just ginormous. And now that I do have an apartment to live in, I do realize that you can like take it home and you can like, it's a very common thing to not finish the food and take it home. But when I was just traveling to here, it's just, oh my God, like what kind of a person can finish that? So that was another thing to discover.
Yeah, even compared to Canada, the portions in the US are much bigger. I agree with you on that. Jimmy Jam TV would like to know, who would you manage if you could manage anyone currently wrestling today? I don't know if you could hear that. I guess you have a bit of a Wi-Fi
Current
issue.
wrestlers in AW or in WWE or wherever? That was the
Let's just say
question.
wherever. Let's say anywhere on TV. Wherever. As I think we may have lost you.
Wherever. Okay. That's a good question because like one thing. Oh, can you hear me now? Am I here? Am I there?
Yeah, you're there. I can hear you. I can hear you fully now. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. Um, so it's a good question. The thing is, one thing is the wrestlers that they like, right? And that they like as people and that they like as wrestlers. But another thing is like whose gimmick would benefit from an evil Russian woman being by their side. Honestly, we had this kind of like sort of an idea, like on social media, that I could manage Natalia Markova, who appeared on Dark uh, several times because she is Russian, and we could have a whole like translator thing going on, like Pentagon has going on. But also out of the like more fun options, hmm, I guess. Uh, I guess there's also could be like an alliance with the whole Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero thing that they have going on because they are pretty evil and they're pretty powerful, and I feel like I would fit right in, honestly. Um, if we're talking WWE, maybe you know what? I think Ziggler kind of needs a repackage actually, and he has had like Lana by his side at one point, so maybe we could revisit that and like make it the better version of that. And that's not to say that Lana is bad in any way, or you know that I love Lana, but Ziggler has been like making a lot of jokes on Twitter recently too that it does not even feel like he works in WWE anymore. So I think it could really use a revamp.
As far as Dolph Ziggler, what was this big thing about him on the internet recently of him saying he never was given a WWE shirt? And I noticed you posted you had a Dolph Ziggler shirt. But what was that whole uproar about involving Ziggler?
Yeah.
There might be a bit of a connection issue.
No, there wasn't like in the pro or anything. It's just someone. First of all, he tweeted that like he doesn't have any shirts available on WWE Shop for some reason, and then someone. Sorry.
Oh, we're here. I didn't say anything. We're here. Oh, we may have temporarily lost her. I won't I won't bring this interview much longer because I think she has a connection issue. She moved from a hotel to an apartment in Florida.
I'm back.
There she
I
is
think
back.
it took me entirely out the stream. Sorry.
It's okay. Well, we can hear you now. You were starting to answer the Dolph Ziggler question.
Yes. So at first he just tweeted that there isn't any merch of his available on WWE Shop for some reason, for whatever reason. And then someone responded that like, oh, I've never seen anyone wear a Dolph Ziggler shirt. So that kind of grinded my gears. So I like just photo dumped every single picture of me wearing Dolph Ziggler merch, which I wear it a lot, honestly. And I did a video a while back, which I do need to film an update on all the wrestling shirts that they have. And at that time, that number was like around 45. Now I think it's like around 75, which is also a shame because I was packing for America in a rush and I only brought one wrestling shirt, and it was a best friend's shirt. But all of them are back in Moscow. I might go and collect them at some point. Even in that video, when I was like classifying the shirts, I realized that Ziggler merch is like the biggest category by wrestler. Like he's the wrestler whose merch items I own the most of. So yeah, I just had to clap back at that person because I wear them a lot.
Here's an interesting question. I don't know if you can answer this. Is Putin actually good at judo, or do they let him win because of who he is?
Well, first of all, I do not know much about judo. Like I am not a good judge in this. But second of all, of course he is good. He's the best.
Is it true? I heard a rumor that during COVID they put lions on the street. Is that just a crazy rumor to keep people in their houses?
What? Where would they even get so many lions to put on the streets?
It didn't even make any sense, but people were reporting this, and I wanted to ask you about it.
Also, it doesn't feel like the climate would be comfortable whatsoever for a lion to just roam the streets of, say, Moscow. No, I've never heard of that. It's my first time hearing. Maybe it was like some sort of like publicity stunt, or like maybe like one rogue lion like escaped a zoo and people just made the thing out of it. I don't know. It's my first time hearing of it.
Maverick would like to know how long you plan to stay in the US.
Well, for now, I'm staying until September, but then I might come back. And honestly, like the end goal is relocating. Like the end goal is figuring out a way to actually stay here.
Yes, I was there recently for 3 months, and unfortunately, because of the people never take into account the visa issues, it's not like people can just stay there forever, unfortunately.
Right? Because like people ask me like, oh, like why do you have to leave? Why don't you just stay? Oh, like stay in America. Like, dude, I wish. Like it's not that simple.
Well, you have a marriage proposition here if you want some help to stay.
Get that green card.
Yeah. What do you think about AEW actually doing a 0.4 rating this week, which is very close to what Raw has been doing lately?
They also surpassed 1 million viewers last week, right, for Fighter Fest.
Yeah,
that's honestly so cool. Like it's just delightful for me to watch AEW grow, because first of all, it's a freaking great red hot wrestling promotion right now. Because like even at Fighter Fest, of course the crowds are back and maybe a little more hype than they would usually be, but still, so many wrestlers got huge pops, like Britt Baker, Hangman. People are excited to watch, and it shows and it influences the product, because I always say that the fans are like such a big part of the product when it comes to wrestling, and it really adds to the product. And also, of course, the whole competition factor, because like I hope it makes WWE kind of step up their game, because honestly, for Money in the Bank, which is one of the most fun pay-per-views in my opinion, it's like very gimmicky, just the way that I like it, but I'm not excited for those lineups. I don't know, even though like Vega is back, which is cool, but still it just doesn't with WWE and WWE storylines recently, the question has been, so what? Because like there would be a feud of two great wrestlers who show great matches, who have great in ring, obviously, who you're excited to watch because you've known them for a while and you've been a fan for a while. But then just the feud itself just makes you go like, sure, this person wins or this person loses, so what? And with AEW, for me, it's been a whole rediscovery of the feeling of actually caring about the results in wrestling, which I don't think is a horrible thing to not care because, in the end of the day, especially me being a creator, we analyze a lot and we predict a lot and stuff like that. But still, for me, when I went to the Dynamite where Sammy Guevara and MJF had a match, I found myself very invested. Like I gave a crap about who would win this match. I was rooting for MJF because I am an MJF fangirl. Um, and when he won, I like popped. And last time I was so excited about a wrestling match result was when Miz won the WWE title last time, which again, it wasn't like a meaningful feud or a meaningful match. It was just a cash in of my favorite wrestler, which obviously I was excited for. But AEW is like making me care about what happens next again, and it's a really cool, exciting, forgotten feeling.
I recently watched a few dark shows, and I noticed they're still not appearing to have live fans other than the wrestlers pretending to be fans. Have you heard if they're going to stop this anytime soon now that we've experienced fans back and it's so much better? Or do you think they're going to keep doing dark in front of like the wrestler crowd?
Actually, that's not even correct as of right now, because like yes, the last Dark was filmed without an audience, but that was like the last Dark before they went on the road, and that's why they filmed it like that. But at Road Rager in Miami, at Fighter Fest in Texas, at two of the previous shows before they went on the road, they did film Dark and Elevation with a live crowd, and they're also doing it like in a very smart way, which I can't help but admire. Because when I went to Road Rager in Miami, they filmed Elevation before the show and Dark after the show. And Dark is usually a little more stacked with like main roster talent. And I think it's a really smart thing to do because first you film Elevation while people are like still coming into the arena and like no one is gonna like stand up and leave when the show is like about to start in 20 minutes. And then they do Dark after the show and they do like brief announcements. They like someone would come out like Cody or whoever and say that, oh, like don't leave after the show because on Dark you'll see this person, this person. For example, at Road Rage, they were like, don't leave because on Dark you'll see Jurassic Express and Sting and Darby Allin. So people know what to expect and they don't want to leave. And the crowd is still like kind of fresh for Dynamite because when they did film both Elevation and Dark before Dynamite, you know, people get tired. Like that's a lot of wrestling. But I think like the structure that they have going on is very smart. And honestly, I enjoy Dark a lot. Like some of you know that I used to do like fan commentary for Dark, which I quit quite a while ago. And after I did, I kind of stopped watching Dark too. But recently, me getting even more into AEW, I've been watching Darks and Elevation a lot. Like I don't usually miss any episodes because it's just so cool to see so much new talent on there being showcased. And then when you watch Dynamite and when that talent transitions to the main roster, I guess you could say, it's more like it makes more sense. It's just more exciting. And I really feel like the Darks and Elevations really add to the main product. And I'm really excited for them to add Rampage to that too. I'm really excited to see how that will work out.
Yeah, I understand that the taping this week for Dynamite and Elevation went something like 5.5 hours, which is a really long time to keep an audience.
Yeah.
But from what I understood, the audience stayed. So,
And
what was
especially
it?
since we haven't had the live crowds in a while, people are just excited for wrestling. And when I went to that first Dynamite since I arrived, which was the Dynamite before Double or Nothing, even then, like they filmed Dark first, and Downton Dark would get like pops because people were just excited for wrestling. They're great too, but like obviously there's a factor of people just being so hungry for a live wrestling show, which is very exciting to also to see on TV and live.
And as far as the show in Miami that you attended, how was Miami to go to Miami? As my dog's sitting up here to say hi to you, but how was your experience in Miami overall?
Oh, it was great. It was my first time in Miami too. And it's so funny because like whenever I go somewhere, anywhere, because I am flying to New Jersey next weekend for GCW. Um, and every time I go somewhere, there will be a person or several people who go like, "Oh, why would you go there? It's so dangerous there." And when I was going to Miami, people were like scaring me, like, "Oh my God, it's such a dangerous city." But I did not get an impression of that whatsoever. Maybe it's because I was staying like within downtown most of the time, where the arena is, and it was really nice. It's like really, it's a beautiful city. It looks like a weird like cross between Moscow, Orlando, and Las Vegas, which I dig. I loved it there. And Miami has like a better nightlife, I guess you could say, than Jacksonville, because like everything closes at 2 a.m. in Jacksonville. So I had a lot of fun in Miami.
Colonel Quayle wants to know your thoughts on WWE seemingly having a double standard as far as wrestlers getting arrested for DUIs, etc. He's probably referring to Jimmy Uso being arrested, I guess, for his third DUI charge recently and still being on TV.
Well, I obviously don't enjoy double standards in any shape or form, but like, is there anything that wrestling does not have double standards on? Because like even WWE, when the whole speaking out thing happened, they fired Jack Gallagher without a second thought, like in a minute after it came out. But then we have certain people who are also outed still on TV and even winning titles and stuff like that. The whole gendered double standard, I'm not even going to get started on. Like you guys know perfectly well that it's a thing. So obviously there are double standards in wrestling, but also I feel like in any corporate structure that could happen because like the Usos are on TV right now a lot, and they are very meaningful to the whole Roman Reigns build. And you cannot take them off TV right now, like just business wise, you cannot do that. So from the business standpoint, I understand, but sure, not cool, not great.
Someone's asking on here as well, is drunk driving, what are the views in Russia on drunk driving? Are they more relaxed? I know in Canada it's very
No.
strict laws. It's less in the US, but what about Russia?
I'm not entirely sure because I don't drive that much, but obviously drunk driving is illegal everywhere. And I think that's the thing that I'm not entirely sure about. I think in Russia it's actually more harsh than it is in the US because here you have like a certain like percentage that you can actually like have of alcohol in your like blood or whatever. I think in Russia it's just completely like you can't even drink like one beer or anything. I think it's even harsher in Russia. I'm not 100% sure though.
Very interesting. As far as your favorite angle going on right now in AEW, what are some of your favorite storylines happening?
So obviously the Hangman one, right? Because like everyone is invested into this, and we all saw this like thread on Twitter where this person like explained like all like twists and turns, like dating back to when Hangman joined the Elite and how it's like it's been manifesting in this storyline. I love me a complex, long-term, deep storyline because, and I love myself a complex character in wrestling because one thing is like, oh, like we're feuding because I'm tougher than you, or like in WWE, like they have right now with Sheamus and Jinder Mahal, who I love very much, but it's like it's almost like a kindergarten type of thing where, oh, I have a sword, oh, I have a bike, I'll destroy your sword or whatever. It's just, it's not profound enough for me, okay? And Hangman is very profound in his character work, and he's very complex. He's very, you know, he's very emotional to the point where it's also fascinating to watch the way that this very tough masculine person deals with their masculinity, which to me, like seeing a wrestler show vulnerability is like the best thing in the world. So that would definitely be a favorite. But also, before you said AEW, I wanted to also say that one of my favorite angles in wrestling right now is the Cardona versus Gage feud. And that's like the whole reason I'm going to the show in New Jersey. Because when I saw Cardona appear in JCW and like take the hood off and people like booing him out of the building, I was like, oh my god, I need to witness this match live. I would do anything. Because like for me, it's like such a clash of my realities. Because I love JCW. I would say I'm a freshly converted JCW fan. I've been watching it for like maybe under a year regularly. But also, I have been a Cardona fan for a while. Partially because of the True Long Island Story thing, because it was one of the first YouTube shows that had to do with wrestling ever. So that really helped me, that inspired me, that helped my career. And also because of all the things like the internet feuds that he had like with Ziggler and stuff like that. I also have a lot of friends for some reason who are like hardcore Cardona fans, and that's kind of rubbed off on me too. So I am a Cardona fan, and just seeing him like the Zack Ryder, like the internet champion, like the kids wrestler, you know, this bubbly, like take care, spike your hair, or whatever, appear in GCW and suddenly curse and like flip people off and like be open to do a death match of all things is just so freaking exciting to me. So I'm like very pumped for this right now.
Alan would like to know what your thoughts are on the Inner Circle versus Pinnacle feud.
Oh, I love that too, honestly. I think we're like past the peak of this feud as of now, but like at the time of Stadium Stampede and all that, yeah, that was very exciting. And as I said, I appreciate MJF a lot. And like I've said this, which is a bit of a weird like thought to cross someone's mind, but sometimes like people ask me, instead of asking me like who my favorite wrestler is, they would ask who's the best wrestler in the world. And that's like such a weird question to me, because like wrestling is art, and like whoever you like the most is the best wrestler in the world to you. But if I were to like actually answer this question, I would probably say MJF. Because to me, I just see like the star quality in him. I just see that he's a future legend, and that he's just so good. He's just like better than everyone else, just like he said. I guess. Hope it didn't offend anyone here. And just seeing him lead this feud, I guess you could say, and also go against Jericho, who's obviously a legend, and they have amazing chemistry together. And it's very exciting. And as I said, like the match against Sammy Guevara that he had, it was such a good match, and I was so invested. So obviously, yeah, it's also a feud that really got me emotional and invested in it.
Someone had a question earlier that was kind of funny. As a joke, would you ever hire one of the 80s Russian wrestlers to interview that were really Americans and try to do the interview in Russian?
That would be hilarious. Oh my god, I would love that. Yes, 100% yes. If someone has like an email, like send me that on Twitter. We'll make it happen.
What are your thoughts on Kenny Omega? There's a lot of people that don't like him in the comments here, but I know he has fans, obviously, particularly in AEW. Not so much Impact. For some,
Yeah,
and maybe you could explain this. Why is Impact getting so low ratings, but AEW gets good ratings, but Impact is using a lot of the same people?
I think I'll answer the second question first. I think part of the reason why Impact is still not getting as good ratings as AEW, first, accessibility, because AEW is on TV and like perfectly accessible to most people. Second, and I've read, it's not my original idea. I've read like on Twitter. I unfortunately don't remember who said it, but I agree wholeheartedly that part of the reason why Dynamite gets good ratings is the structure of the show. It's very structured. And the pacing and the whole, order of matches and like where they put the segments. When you think about it, it's just really smart. It's really great pacing of the show. It watches well. It keeps you engaged, which is super cool. And I've also noticed that with Darks too, because like I went on a stream a couple of days ago for Nick Tello, who is the fake Seth Rollins that we all know and love. And he does the side-by-side of Elevation and Dark. So like he and his guest on the stream would pretty much watch Elevation and Dark at the same time. And he's noticed a lot that the pacing and like the structure and like the moment where there would be a segment or a match or like a break for Dark's innovations are very consistent and kind of the same. So I think like just AEW puts a lot of thought into their product production wise. So I think like that's part of the reason why it gets good ratings. Talking about Omega again, gonna piss some people off. I freaking love Kenny Omega, and I do realize that maybe again to some people his character like back in Japan, like the purely like cleaner type of thing, was more exciting. But to me, what he does right now fits the AEW format way better, and you cannot hate an amazing wrestler for readjusting what he does to fit the American TV product. I think he's doing a great job at pretty much everything that he does. I am not excited to see him drop the titles because, on the one hand, we're all rooting for Hangman, and obviously he needs the win, like he deserves this. But Kenny being as strong right now as he is, I just dread watching him like drop those titles one by one. I'm not sure where that's gonna launch his career to, but yeah, as of now, I'm enjoying Kenny Omega very much.
Jonathan would like to know your thoughts on Goldberg coming back on Raw, and the rumor is he's going to be starting a feud with Lashley for SummerSlam.
You know, nothing personal, but most of the time, I don't love a legend returning for like a title match. And we saw Goldberg hold titles like very freaking recently. Um, and it's like I get it. Like I get why they do it because WWE is like very desperately clutching to the old timey fans because they're the one category that are not transitioning to AEW, like that type of fans who don't like comedy wrestling, who don't like the new wave type of wrestling, who don't like the very like entertainment type of thing. So those are the fans that are like staying with WWE and more specifically staying with the main brands, with the main roster. So again, it makes sense to bring legends back. But to me, it just does not excite me. I'm at the point where it's not like I'm not watching wrestling to go like, oh, I know this guy. Like I'd like to not know the guy and be excited and like actually become a fan because it was the case for me for a lot of AEW wrestlers. Like Varsity Blondes, I knew Brian Pillman, sure, but Griff Garrison I had no idea about before AEW. Wheeler Yuta has been huge this past 2 weeks, and like I've seen him like briefly outside of AEW, but he's been like killing it. And there, I could go on. Like there's so much talent that I discovered like because of AEW, because of Darks. So for me, just bringing back someone who is just like, oh, he's big, oh, a legend. It just doesn't really do the thing for me. I'm also not a Lashley fan. Not sure why. I can't tell you why. It just some wrestlers just don't do it for me, and that's one of the wrestlers who does not really do it for me. So I am not excited for that feud. I'm sorry.
What do you think about it if Brock Lesnar is going to return or not? It's not looking like it if they're bringing Goldberg back. Do you think that there's a chance they'll still bring him back at SummerSlam, or do you think he's going to enjoy his time off for longer?
As of now, to me, it doesn't look like he's gonna come back anytime soon. Especially not for SummerSlam. Like SummerSlam is very soon. So maybe I'll eat my words after SummerSlam, but as of now, it doesn't feel like he's coming back.
Yeah. What would you do if you were in charge of WWE to make the product better than what it is? Because it seems like it's losing momentum and steam every week almost.
It is a very difficult question because I want to reiterate that I'm not trying to like dunk or like hate on WWE. Obviously, I love it, and obviously, I've been watching it for so many years. And again, I realized that like as I said, booking is the hardest thing to do in wrestling. And when you have this super old, super established company, it's very hard to do. But also, I hate to say it, but I have noticed that there has been some laziness maybe on the writer's part because maybe WWE does not feel like they have to be as engaging with the new storylines because people still watch. But the two things that come to mind, one of them has to do with writing, obviously, because I feel like for most angles, writing is the problem because, like, obviously the performers aren't the problem. So I would hire more female writers, more people of color, more LGBTQ plus writers, and just there was recently like the thing where someone like discovered that like one of the writers doesn't really watch wrestling, and it was a whole uproar. I, for one, don't really mind that because I feel like the writing team should be a combination of people who get wrestling and who are like wrestling fans and who understand the dynamics of wrestling, and people who are purely writers, because like that's how we can grasp and like adapt those more complex storylines to wrestling, because WWE seems almost too superficial, and not because they're just like that, but because they don't trust the viewer to grasp a more complex storyline, which I think the viewer is actually ready for. And I'm not saying that every single feud should be like the Omega versus Hangman feud, but like some, like please, like give me some complexity, give me some emotion, give me some emotional motivation, as opposed to, ooh, I'm just gonna beat you up. And the second thing that comes to mind is I would introduce more cohesion between the brands, because it's really weird when someone is called up from whatever 205 or NXT UK, and we're supposed to just pretend like we don't know who that is. And that doesn't seem smart to me from the business standpoint either, because for WWE, it's all their products. Why would they not want the viewer to be aware and to watch every product? And I feel like when there's more cohesion, there will be more eyes brought to the other products too, because at times they feel pointless. Because I have watched NXT UK quite well just because it airs like at a convenient time in Russia. And it's, I don't know, the thing is like there's one meaningful match per show, and there's like, it seems like there's one or two meaningful feuds going on, and that's it. But they have a stacked roster. There are so many great performers on there. So say Piper Niven just got called up. For some reason, we're supposed to pretend that we forgot her name. We don't know who she is. We don't know where she came from. And the commentary team is also supposed to pretend like that, which is ridiculous in itself. Like, even if she was not from NXT UK, because that's the one good thing we see in AEW, where the commentary team, it's their job to get you immersed in whatever is happening. Like, they're supposed to give you the background on the wrestler. So when the commentary team looks at a called up wrestler and goes like, "Ooh, who that is?" Like, it just does not make sense. So if they were to actually properly introduce her, and then we could see how great she is and how good she is, that would also bring more eyes to NXT UK, and that would also, maybe diversify someone's watching schedule when it comes to WWE. So, like, to me, it just doesn't make sense, and I wish they let us know that this is all actually one universe, and I wish there was more connection between the products. So those are the two things, like, right, like off the top of my head. And I know I've been talking for a long time, but I could go on. But these are like the two things that I think are super important and could make the product way better.
Yes, because that 0.17 or 0.19 rating that they're getting on NXT, those aren't like people that are necessarily just watching NXT and not Raw and SmackDown. In all likelihood, it's the same people, maybe a few exceptions, but you have a good point there. Why pretend that those people are not the same people watching NXT? Makes no sense.
And I feel like it all comes down to the way WWE writers or bookers or whoever, I don't know who makes those decisions, to the way that they perceive their viewer, which is not necessarily very pleasant. Because as I said, like, it feels like they don't trust us to keep up with long storylines. It feels like they don't trust us to grasp a complex storyline. It feels like they don't trust us to remember a performer that we saw maybe like a year ago on the main roster and then reintroduce them and go like, oh, that's a new person. Because like the same thing with, what's his name? Commander Aziz or something like that. He first debuted in like a battle royal like 2 years ago or 3 years ago under one name. Then he was on Raw Underground under another name. And then he has another name and he debuts again. And we're supposed to just not remember who that is. Like, I feel like there should be just more connection and more trust between the promotion and the viewer. And as I said, the whole thing does not have to be like that, but like, give me like a feud or two that could actually engage a long time attentive viewer. And I feel like it would pay off.
What are your thoughts on the rumor that Daniel Bryan might show up in AEW and somehow get out of his WWE deal?
People would go crazy if that does happen. But I don't know, as of now, it does not feel real, honestly. But also, Christian showing up did not feel real at the time. The one person that I'm waiting to show up somewhere, anywhere, is Buddy Murphy, obviously, because he's one of my absolute favorite wrestlers ever. Um, and I tweeted it a while back when they released him. I was like, wherever Buddy Murphy goes, if I do not watch this promotion actively, I will start watching it. So I would much prefer if he goes to AEW that they already watch than if he goes to like Impact or ROH, and I'll have to start watching that.
Well, maybe you should go to Philadelphia September the
Oh
18th.
my, I've been thinking like I want to go. But also there are ROH tapings in the end of September, I think like 16th or something like that I'm going to. So if I do go there, it's going to be a lot of moving around, like Jacksonville, another
Yeah.
city in Florida, then Philadelphia, then back to Jacksonville, then back to Russia in September. So I don't know, but yeah, I am thinking about it hard.
If you go to Philadelphia, you might see me there because I'm very interested to find out who Raven is going to manage
Oh, interesting.
on this particular show. But there's going to be a huge convention there, icons of wrestling.
Let's go.
Good opportunity to meet wrestlers and get interviews too.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Dannon wants to know your opinion on the whole Rhea Ripley thing, which I know nothing about, but I assume you do.
I'm not sure what the Raripa thing is either, honestly. Maybe someone can give you more detail.
What about this? I don't know why her name, Eva Marie. This whole angle with Eva Marie, and supposedly it was a terrible segment on Raw. I didn't see it, but I heard.
It was bad. The whole thing is bad. It's just bad. I am not a fan of Eva Marie in any way. And first of all, let me just go on record and say that she's freaking gorgeous. She's probably one of the most beautiful women ever signed by WWE. But she's problematic, man. Like she's very problematic. Like when she first got released, like back then, I remember she was like very like rude and mean about wrestling on the whole, about how she like doesn't really watch and how like oh no one cares. And then she wants to come back. Like to me, the one important thing, like I can let a lot of things slide when it comes to wrestlers because they're creative people and they're just like that. But don't disrespect the business. Like, and I know it's a very broad term, and I know some people label the things that I love a lot as disrespecting the business, which obviously I don't agree with because like I love comedy wrestling and I love all kinds of ridiculous things when it comes to wrestling. But this is just like your plain and simple disrespect where you just go like, oh, no one cares about wrestling, like who gives a shit? And then you go back and then you expect people to support you or whatever. And the whole tag team with Piper Niven, the whole ridiculous new name. And like at first, when they started kind of like getting to each other, I thought they were gonna break up this team like very soon and have Piper actually shine and show that she's not this, that she's actually cool and tough and badass. But it's not happening. Like she's still there. I'm not sure what the dynamic is supposed to be there, and it's just bad. I just don't like it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's from what I've seen of it, it's weird. I don't know why they think anyone would want to watch that at all. There's a couple more. There was one good fan question that I lost here, but so many. There's a lot of haters.
Okay.
Randy wants to know what you thought of the Damien Sandow storyline. I know you actually were on at least one interview with him a few months ago, but what did you think of him as a wrestler?
Yeah. I'm not sure, again, not sure which storyline. Can you specify, please?
Yes, be more specific. He was probably talking about with The Miz because you're such a Miz fan.
Oh, but
Amy.
back in the day, yeah, that was fun. And honestly, like back in the day, Sando was. I'm not. I don't mean to say that I don't like him now. I like him a lot. Like he's also great. He's very professional, very nice to work with. But like back in the day, the whole like Sando gimmick, it was one of my favorite things going on in WWE, and it was one of the points where it made me really like start analyzing the product. And I think I've even mentioned this in a video. I'm not sure which one, but thing is, he had this feud with Sheamus, right? Where Sheamus was the babyface, and the whole entire premise of the feud was pretty much that, oh, like Sheamus, you're dumb, and Sando is smart. And it wasn't even like Sando was picking on Sheamus; it was the other way around, where Sheamus would like always make fun of him for like being the smartest and stuff like that. And that's when I stopped and was like, wait, this is a really weird face heel dynamic we're going on here. Like, what does this teach us? Like, does it teach us that being smart is bad, that you should be like ashamed of your academic success? Because like kids are watching. I hate to bring it up, I hate to be that person, but kids are watching. And that's when I started thinking that like there are some things in wrestling which I might have a problem with, but that's not because they are there. It's because of the way that they're packaged. Because it arises a lot when I talk about intergender wrestling, when I talk about like queer baiting and such kind of things. Because honestly, I can kind of say that I guess I agree that nothing is off limits in wrestling, but it's just about how you present it. Say there's this absolutely like evil, horrible gimmick that like does something that I disagree with, and I'm not going to be mad that there's this gimmick in wrestling because like obviously it's a gimmick and it's not a real person. But if this person is packaged as a baby face and we're supposed to sympathize and we're supposed to support them, that's when I have a problem. So like that whole Sando and Sheamus feud made me realize that and made me really grow as a wrestling analyst, I guess you could say. So thank you, Damien Sando. The Miz thing was fun too, but it wasn't as memorable to me, I guess, as the Sheamus feud. So that's why I talked about that instead.
David would like to know your thoughts on Riddle, and maybe you could give us your thoughts on that lawsuit related to that alleged sexual assault that got dropped. Some people say may have been settled, but they didn't release the reason why it was dropped. And if it was an undisclosed settlement, they'd never say anything like that.
I'm not gonna talk about it very in depth, but the one thing I'd say is I believe victims. And I'll just tell you a story that has to do kind of with it, sort of, and you'll just figure it out because I didn't say anything about Riddle, right? But I have this show that I did with High Spots Network. It's called Did That Show. You can check it out on my channel. There's a separate playlist, and it's dedicated. At least the first season. The second season is going to be a little more broad, but the first season is dedicated to gendered women's issues in wrestling. And there's this episode that I did with Mariah May. And what she told me is, at least in the British scene, a lot of girls had to drop their allegations and had to not pursue legal action because it is expensive. And because those wrestlers actually have the means to make it expensive for the victim and to just put them in a situation where it's between going completely broke and bankrupt or dropping the allegations, and a lot of people chose to drop the allegations. So I'm not going to say anything about Riddle in particular, but we know that there are rich, influential wrestlers in the business who have way more leverage and way more influence than their victims. Obviously, that's how the victim ended up in the position of not having as much power and not being able to protect herself. So also statistically, you are way more likely to be right when you believe a victim, because just statistically, not many rape cases even reach legal action or reach the court. So to me, like, I would rather believe a victim and then find out that someone is lying than and condone a rapist. So that's just my stance on this.
Yeah, I didn't follow that case much, but it does appear that Matt Riddle only admitted out of that he did cheat on his wife with that woman at one point. I don't know if she's still a wrestler or not. Have you heard if she's still active?
I have not heard. I'm not sure. No.
Layla wants to know how many tattoos you have. I know you were asking about places to get tattoos in Jacksonville. Do you have a new one at all since you've been in the US?
I do have a new one, but it's weird because out of all of my tattoos, and I have 7, this one healed the worst. And I guess this is like the lesson for me on getting tattoos in very hot weather. But it's this. Can you see it? It's an olive branch. Um, to me, it's like more of a thing about like my life, my history, because I lived in Spain for a while when I was little, and they have a lot of olive trees there. So I got an olive branch. But I mean, it's a good thing that you can't really see it on camera. But it did heal kind of blurry, which I hate. Gonna look into ways to fix it. But also, I am looking to get more tattoos while I'm here, and I actually have an appointment for New York City because I'm going to New Jersey for GCW, so I'm gonna swing by New York City. So I have an appointment with a really cool artist. So yeah, you guys are gonna see some new tattoos in the nearest future.
Someone was asking earlier if you've been making use of the beaches in Florida. I know you've been taking some pictures out by various pools, but
Yeah.
how's your beach experience been? You fill out bikinis very well. You're a gorgeous lady.
I've only been to the beach once in this like almost 2 months that I've been in Florida, and I didn't even swim. Like I just went to like look at the ocean. I was like, oh, cool, and that's it. Because American beaches are strange. They're very different from what we have in Europe, and I don't really know like what to do with them necessarily, and don't really have anyone to go with. Because like every time I like made plans with someone to go, it didn't really go through. I've also been traveling around a lot, and in Jacksonville now it's fine, like now it's good. But before I went to Miami, it was raining like showers every single day for like 3 weeks. So I didn't really get the chance. I hope I'm gonna actually go to a beach like a normal person, actually swim in time and whatever. But I don't know, not yet. That has not happened yet.
You've been definitely traveling around a lot, Miami, going to New York. You've been in other places in Florida. Any other American states that you plan to visit before you head back?
As of now, I'm planning the GSW trip, obviously. So New Jersey plus New York City because it's nearby. So why not? I am also going to SummerSlam in Las Vegas, which I am very excited for because it feels like every single wrestling friend that I have, or at least most of them, like 90% of them, are going to be there. So it's going to be like a party. It's going to be so cool. Um, I am also, as it said, going to those ROH tapings, but that's within Florida. So that's the plan for now. But we'll see what happens next, because you mentioned that show in Philadelphia that Murphy is going to be at, and I am heavily considering it.
Well, and also for your channel, one of the reasons I'm going is you can go around during the convention and interview a bunch of people. So,
Yeah.
plus you'll get to meet me if you go. You'll get to see me in person.
Which is an amazing bonus. When is the convention? What day is it?
It's September 18th. So I don't know if you're already
Oh,
back on it or
like the
not.
same day as the show?
The show is that night.
Oh,
The show
okay.
is that night.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that could be like 1 day thing. That's also very convenient. Yeah, we'll
And
see, I guess.
it's at the ECW arena.
Which is also like a cool thing to experience too, right?
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but you'll experience this slum area of Philadelphia going there because I've been there before, and it's far from high class.
Maybe that's where I would actually have to be worried about something being like dangerous or something. But I mean, if you're there, then
Exactly.
I'm
If
okay.
I'm there, you'll have protection. But if you do end up going, we could collaborate on something
Yes,
there.
definitely, 100%. Yeah.
So I'm
I'll
going
let you
100%.
know.
So yeah, we'll stay in contact on that. And where can people follow you? You have all this social media that's growing huge, literally on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I am Xenia did that with an X on all social media. Check out my YouTube channel because I've been putting out slowly but surely a lot of things that I filmed throughout my month in Florida. And among things coming up are interviews with Matt Seidel, Varsity Blondes, Best Friends, all of your AW favorites. So that's going to be coming out within these following like 3-4 weeks. And I am also going to vlog a lot of things because I am moving around a lot. So stay tuned for that. And as I said, Xenia did that as well on all other platforms. On Twitter, I sometimes blow up on Twitter. Sometimes people defend me after Jim Cornette calls me ugly on Twitter. Sometimes people like it when John Moxley pops in on my videos, and people enjoy what I do on Twitter, I guess. And also Instagram for pictures, travel shenanigans, stories, you name it. So yeah, I also have a website. It's xeniadidthat.com. So if you want to collaborate or just see what I do in general, visit that.
Who called you ugly? I'm sorry. Did I hear that right? Somebody called you ugly?
Yeah, Jim Cornette called me ugly.
Well, you can't take any.
podcast.
He's a complete idiot.
Yeah,
so you can't take any claim in him. He's just a complete low-life, toxic person, and I don't understand the people that actually, yeah. He's supposedly some great booker, but he never had any success as a booker.
Yeah. He's supposedly like the most people that I hear defending him go like he's a wrestling historian, which sounds cool, okay? But you know,
he presents history with his own spin on it that makes himself look good. But yeah, I don't listen to him.
Me neither.
He's bottom of the barrel. He's scum. And
I think it's like one of my viewers sent me the clip, and if it didn't happen, I wouldn't even know. But yeah, he said I was the ugliest blonde he's ever seen. Love that for you.
Well, I'm sure he wasn't on your list of people you'd ever want to date. So I don't think you care that much. But
you know, it's honestly nothing personal. I don't take it to heart whatsoever. So whatever he wants to say, it's fine.
Yeah, he's just he gets off on trying to bring other people down, I guess, and his followers like that. And they are a cult. They are a cult because to this day I get hate messages from his cult of Cornette followers. So I can only imagine what Vince Russo has gone through over the years.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for checking in with us. I hope you can get your internet better there since you're a blogger. And I'll let you close this off however you want.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a great time. I'm always down to appear on your channel and talk to you. And I hope next time I'm here, I will have better internet because, yes, I'm a blogger, so it's weird. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the questions and for listening to me, looking at me. As I said, check out my channel, youtube.com/xeniadidthat for all of your wrestling-related entertainment needs. And I'll see you around. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video.